Hey guys, Genkia87 here, and today we're going to be discussing Call of Duty World War II. Now, word of warning, I'm just going to throw this out there. If my microphone sounds kinda shitty, it has to do with the fact that my Turtle Beach headset broke and it is currently unusable, so my computer microphone is gonna have to do. And it may not be the best, but I'm still able to make my point across with it anyways. So, gameplay in the background is Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered, and the second gameplay that we'll play after it is Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. In Modern Warfare Remastered, I am using an RPD class setup along with a pistol, and on Infinite Warfare, I'm using the RVN Bruiser, I believe, and it is a gun that I got within a rare supply drop, and I got the MK2 version of it, so I have like a rare version of the gun, and it's pretty lit actually. So where I want to start is my personal views of first-person shooters. I made a video previously called Rest in Peace, called Is This the End of COD? And it was me discussing how nobody wanted Infinite Warfare. Well, at that time, I was into that edgy phase of basically hating everything COD, and I had a 3-year-long period where I didn't really play shooters all that much to begin with. Because in 2013, I basically got hooked on fighters, and that's pretty much primarily what I played for a couple of years. And then GTA kind of got me back into the flow of things, and then Overwatch pushed me onto it even more, and then I kind of ended up going back to COD with Modern Warfare Remastered. Am I still biased? Or am I biased? Nah, not really. I still think Ghost was a stinker. I think Black Ops 3 was a fucking travesty. And even though in the end I ended up liking Advanced Warfare, and I was surprised that I actually really liked Infinite Warfare, I'm not gonna pretend that they didn't have their issues. Infinite Warfare in particular has some really iffy matchmaking, and I'm always being paired up with like really basically I'm being paired up at the end of a match, and I'm basically being one side fucked in the anus, if that makes any sense to you. But that being said, Infinite Warfare was a surprisingly a good game. I was shocked. The campaign was pretty good, the multiplayer is actually fun, and lot better than Black Ops 3, and Zombies is pretty lit. As a matter of fact, speaking of Black Ops 3, I honestly believe that Infinite Warfare is what Black Ops 3 should have been. And I've come to look back and realize, wow, I'm a bit of a fucking hypocrite. Mostly because now I'm kind of seeing myself playing the games again. And that's all due in part that I'm not into that edgy, let's hate on COD just cause it's cool thing. I'm gonna acknowledge its problems. It still goes by peer-to-peer servers, and lag compensation is all over the place, but I've come to realize that the games are still pretty fun to play. Granted, I'm not gonna fucking hold it over everything else. I still think there are better games to play other than COD, and I wouldn't recommend playing COD 24/7. Just because YouTubers and shit do it. But I will tell you that I will probably end up playing some more COD for my YouTube. That being said, now that I got out of the way, that shit, I do want to say that I am rather interested in this whole World War II thing, because you see, for a long time, people wanted a change in COD. We kept having boots on the ground video games in the series, and people were getting tired of it. And they got changed with Advanced Warfare. All of a sudden, when Advanced Warfare came out though, people didn't want the fucking exosuit boost jumping shit, so we got Black Ops 3, and that further elevated that nobody wanted the boost jumping shit. And then we got Infinite Warfare, and honestly, from the looks of it, Infinite Warfare only really sold because it was packaged in with Modern Warfare Remastered if you got the Legacy Edition. And my thing is, I don't understand why people were complaining so much about COD being the exact same fucking game every year. And then we get boots on the ground stuff, or not boots, the exosuit shit, which is actually, in my opinion, I thought was pretty fun. And now people are saying, oh, this shit's fucking lame, let's fucking go back to old COD. So we go back to old COD, and now the people are saying that they're copying Battlefield 1. So you guys want change, and then when you get change, you hate it and you want it back, and when you get what you originally had, you guys want change again. It's like getting a Christmas present, and you look at your cousin, your fucking grandmother, whoever, and like you didn't really want it, but you asked for something. So you're ungrateful about what they got you, and you just kind of push it back and say, nah, I'm good. Nah, I'm good on this. So I've come to establish you, the Call of Duty community, are a bunch of ungrateful fucks. But alas, I'm not going to get into that, and I'm just going to discuss how this game is going to go. Do we believe that it will succeed, or will it fail and be the final nail in the coffin in the Call of Duty franchise? Well, I see it this way. There's two routes that this game can go. It can go Call of Duty Classic +2 plus World at War, where it could be fucking outstanding, amazing, breathtaking in the campaign department and the multiplayer department, or it can be Call of Duty 3 and be really mediocre. And I'll explain that right now. Now you see, obviously Call of Duty 1 and 2 were Infinity Ward games, and they were classics. I'm not talking about Finest Hour or Call of Duty 2 Big Red One, which were the Treyarch PlayStation and Xbox and GameCube ports. I'm talking about the original Call of Duty 1, or Call of Duty Classic, and Call of Duty 2. They had awesome set pieces, awesome action sequences, awesome stories, awesome scenarios. They were pretty much perfect, at least in my opinion. Then there was Call of Duty World at War, which was Treyarch's second mainline game in the series, and also part of the Black Ops series, technically, because Reznov is in Black Ops. And without a doubt, it's probably my absolute favorite in the entire series. Or at least one of them, next to Modern Warfare and Black Ops, of course. And Modern Warfare 2, I guess. But, it was a lot grittier. It was dark in tone, and there was gore all over the place. The set pieces and action sequences were probably the most chaotic in the entire series. And not to mention, it had 4-player co-op and some really awesome multiplayer. So those games were fantastic. Now the reason why I say it could be Call of Duty 3, which is a bad game, and there's a reason for that. It was Treyarch's first mainline entry in the series, and it felt really dated. It was practically running on the PlayStation 2 engine, I'm pretty sure. And the scripted bits felt a little bit too scripted, if you know what I mean. Some of the scenes felt robotic, and the cutscene style didn't fit in with the Call of Duty style at all. It felt like they inserted like movie clips in the middle of every mission, and it just felt like a really meh Call of Duty game. The multiplayer was interesting because it did things that haven't really been done in the series ever since, but it was still just kind of mediocre, and there's a reason why a lot of people don't talk about Call of Duty 3. And if you do, it's probably because of the nostalgia, because let's face it guys, Call of Duty 3 kind of sucked. So we're kind of hoping that Call of Duty 3, or World War II, is like the good World War II games in the series, and not Call of Duty 3. And I watched all the trailers, and as far as the single player, do something dark and gritty like World at War, or at least do something as good as Call of Duty 2, and you're fucking set. Like you are literally golden if you're like Call of Duty 2 or World at War. That's all you have to do, is make a story as good as those two games, and you got a winner. And if you get 4-player co-op involved in that, awesome. Just don't do any of that dumb, mindless fuckery that Black Ops 3 did, because Black Ops 3's fucking campaign was... We don't talk about Black Ops 3's campaign. the multiplayer, I saw something that caught my eye when I was looking at the multiplayer reveal trailer. They showed vehicles, they showed fucking battleships, they showed tanks, which would be a returning thing from Call of Duty World at War. I seen airplanes that were shooting from the sky. I really hope that these are actual vehicles that players can use in the multiplayer. Like, granted, I'm not expecting it to be like Battlefield, but I'm hoping that you can actually use these vehicles because it sounds intriguing and it sounds like something new for the game. And I like that because it would bring uniqueness to the Call of Duty gameplay, and it would give us something other than fucking team deathmatch to fucking fuck around in. And it would, like, I'm thinking it could be something like Ground War, except, you know, with vehicles. And like World at War did something similar. They had, some of the maps had tanks, and they let you use these tanks. And granted, they were a bit OP. Okay, not even a bit OP, but still, they were cool. And if you knew how to take them down, they weren't even really that bad. You literally just needed someone with a bazooka to fucking take them down. So I could see the tanks being more into the games in World War II, and the air shit and all that goodness. I would actually like to see maps that actually incorporated those in the team deathmatch. That way we don't have to play a specific mode to use those vehicles, because as we know, the Call of Duty community pretty much lives off team deathmatch, and I would like to hope that in Call of Duty World War II they incorporate these vehicles in the team deathmatch so we actually see them often and all that goodness. I'm hoping that the perks aren't busted. I mean, they're probably going to, and they've always been low-key, but hopefully they're a bit more grounded, because say Black Ops 3, the fucking perks are out of control. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure Black Ops 3 encouraged people to run around and hit people with melee attacks with all that, you know, loot box stuff that you can get exclusively in loot boxes. But you know, we don't talk about that, because Black Ops 3 is trash. That aside, I also hope, although I'm not crossing my fingers about it, because this is Activision we're talking about here, but I'm hoping that they work on their matchmaking. I know they're not going to work on the peer-to-peer and the dedicated servers, because they promised that in Ghost, and we never did get that. As you know, low-key, Ghost came out in 2013. It's 2017, people. They're not going to fucking do it. But I've given up on the concept of them changing servers, but for the love of God, at least get the matchmaking right. I like Infinite Warfare. It is a good game. But I can't name how many times I've joined a lobby where there are people on a team that have left because of rage quitting. And it's like the end of the match, and it's like fucking 20 to 80 or some shit. And we're basically getting our ass handed to us because the game just keeps throwing me into lobbies that are almost over and are one-sided. And you know, Call of Duty tries to remedy this by preventing you from losing or getting a stat added to your loss ratio, but in my opinion that just doesn't work, because let's face it, it doesn't matter if you get anything added to that. What matters is the fact that you're still getting your ass handed to you and catching the ones. It's still, I think it still affects your KDR. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm hoping they incorporate something where when it's searching for a lobby, if it's like past like a 5-minute mark or something, it just won't add you into the match. And I would love that. And that may add longer search times, but I would personally like that to be a thing in Call of Duty World War II, so we don't get these one-sided ass beatings every time we try to look for a lobby. As for Nazi zombies, what can I say? Infinite Warfare had really good zombies, and from what I've heard, Advanced Warfare also had some really good zombies. And I guess it's suffice to say that basically every company is capable in the Call of Duty development of making good zombies, and Sledgehammer apparently knocked it out of the park with AW. So, considering it's called Nazi Zombies, and if you remember correctly, World at War did it as Nazi zombies. All you really have to do is base your maps around that type of theme, and well, I don't know really how they would go about it. They just try to keep it a little less complicated. I don't mind like the extra enemies, you know, the enemy types that are like big and fuck you in the ass if you're not focusing. But I'm not really a big fan of the shit like Transit or shit like Shadows of Evil, where you're fucking circling the entire map with certain inventory stuffs trying to find shit. And even though Infinite Warfare had that, it didn't seem like in Zombies in Spaceland that it was forced upon you to do something like that. So maybe if they're gonna do it, maybe do it a bit more like Infinite Warfare, and I would be happy. As I'm one of those people who don't really care about doing the mission structure shits and zombies. I just wanna grab some friends and shoot at some Zambos for like 30 minutes or less. And you know, yeah, that's all it's gonna take. It's not gonna take that much to satisfy me with zombies, basically. So keep it something like that, and I'll be happy. So yeah, this is my thoughts on Call of Duty World War II. I'm hoping it's good. I'm really hoping that it's good. I got a beta code, and I'm gonna play it for YouTube when the beta is actually available. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. What do you think of Call of Duty World War II? And I will catch you guys around.